Welcome back to Tattoo Shop Talks. I am here tonight with a band from KW, Living Room for Small. So excited to be here. These guys are actually personal friends of mine, so extra special to have them on my show. For those who don't know Living Room for Small, I will pass it off to these guys to introduce themselves and let you all know what instrument they play in the band.
You go, Nate.
I am Nate. I play the voice. I sing.
It's my favorite instrument, the voice.
That's all I do.
All you do?
Yeah, that's it.
I'm Owen. I am the guitarist of the band, and also some backup vocals occasionally.
And my father.
Nate's dad,
And my
Jesse's dad, apparently.
Apparently.
I am Jesse. I play the big, loud, obnoxious things at the back of the room. Smack them around. Yeah, I smack those things.
Love it. And so what type of genre of music is Living Room for Small?
I've been telling people it's like a pop alternative blend.
Yeah, it's obnoxious. No.
Obnoxious. That's my favorite genre of music.
Oh yeah, pop alternative's probably a good descriptive.
I feel like it's the most like broad genre to pretty much do a lot of different sounds in. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, we like a lot of heavy bands, so we have like heavy influences, but we like to keep it danceable. And I don't know, we kind of just write whatever we want. We don't really have a genre.
Yeah, we really don't limit ourselves. Like, oh, this has to be more pop punk or this has to be more poppy. Like, we just like, I have this cool idea. Let's try this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Love it.
Write what you feel, man.
Yeah.
Love
There
it.
you
No
go.
rules. If you guys had to get a tattoo right now, what would you get?
Owen's face.
Owen's face.
What?
I would get,
Owen's face on my forehead.
I'm sorry.
I'd get the name of the show.
The name of the show.
Yeah, this is a cool show. Seriously. Cool. I'd get that. Fuck it. Why not?
That would be pretty cool.
There you go.
Maybe I should get it with you.
And Owen's face.
And Owen's face. We
Yeah.
could get both. Seriously.
Do you want to get tattooed?
I think we should.
Okay, cool. Okay. Fine.
Okay, let's do
Alright.
it. Let's do it. So it's Adam at Berlin Tattoo who is doing our tattoos for the show. And we'll actually have work done by Adam. So maybe we should do a little Living Room for Small tattoo tour of tattoos done by Adam at Berlin Tattoo.
I got tattooed by Adam first, I think.
Yeah, you did.
Trendsetter.
You did.
I got a little parrot.
Oh,
'Cause,
Adam did that?
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, Adam did that. I got a little parrot just on a whim.
You like
Mm-hmm.
I like birds, apparently.
Yeah, that's the bird arm right there.
And then
Everyone needs one.
I wanted to keep the theme going and make it kind of like a trifecta of birds. So
Mhm.
I wanted it now.
I got this face as a walk-in. We did a show. We did Canada Day, and I did a walk-in, and I got this. And everyone in the tattoo shop was convincing me that it was like related to the album.
You convinced me it was related.
I'm
And
pretty sure
I-
Nate told us that.
Yeah, and I was like, "Oh my god, it is!" No, because you were like five
Oh,
teardrops
The teardrops.
for Pretty
Yes.
Little Drop Dead Gorgeous, and I was like, "Fuck, that's crazy."
Meant to be.
You told me that on the walk home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I got this little scorpion, and I got my dog Bandit.
I love it.
Which was funny because I came into the shop, and the name of Adam's power supply is the Bandit. So it was pretty sick.
Well, as we know, like 90% of this arm and all my leg tats are done by Adam at
Cool.
Berlin Tattoo. Nate is here getting a tattoo of my logo.
Yeah,
Seriously.
Currently.
Nate, you're just going to have to talk when you want to talk because no one can see your face. Adam is seriously tattooing seriously on Nate. Seriously.
Am I seriously getting tattooed right now?
Seriously?
Nate, how's it feeling down there?
Feels good. It's seriously all right, I think, maybe.
You can look right into the camera if you want,
What's
unless
up?
that's too hard on the neck.
Oh, yeah.
It'll make for a really cool shot.
I'm just going to stare at it the whole time now. Someone asked me a question.
As you mentioned, when we were doing a little tattoo tour, Pretty Little Drop Dead Gorgeous. Why don't you guys tell me more about this album, how it came together?
We started writing these songs last year, where we usually write our songs as they come to us. and try and finish them one by one. So we felt to tie it all off, collect everything in the album. We were also midway through when Jesse over here joined us, and then it kind of sped things along because we're all very strong producers, and it just clicked. And
It kind of felt like all the songs were cohesively like they would work together as an album. What was the last song that we did for it? Was it Waste My 20s or the title track?
Waste My 20s was last song.
it was
That was
either
the
Waste
last
My
song?
20s, Headspin, or Pretty Little.
20s was last.
Yeah.
For sure.
I think, yeah, Pretty Little and Waste My 20s we finished around the same time, I want to say.
Headspin was like the single after whatever you guys dropped.
Yeah, we did Wherever You Go. We did that little EP, and then we did Headspin after that, and then we just put the album out.
Yeah.
Headspin, I think we wrote that song in a day. It just happened.
It was funny because we were working on a different song, and then Jesse and I were in the back of the room. Jesse had a guitar, and we just wrote an entirely different song. Yeah,
And I
like
just hear
Owen-
them like mouthing guitar parts behind me.
Voice memo on my iPhone, and you're over there editing guitars, and we're like screaming in the background.
Yeah, we thought that we wanted to make this album really special, and we just said screw it and got it pressed on vinyl.
I've always wanted vinyl of my own music, so that was a must.
Nate actually came up with the track listing. Like, we went through like what we wanted to be the first song to the seventh song, like a bunch, and then Nate kind of organically was like, "This feels good," like the transitions from song to song, and then later on we realized that it kind of like tells a story, which is cool. Like every song, it starts off like with Wherever You Go, and as you listen to it, it's kind of like a cohesive story.
I was always thinking about the vinyl because I was like, we're gonna press this on vinyl, so it has to flow well.
Lyrically, it actually kind of makes sense as a story, but before we weren't really like looking at that until after.
Yeah, it all fell into place.
Oh,
Are we
look at
freaking
that.
done,
Nate
bud?
is already done his tattoo. Why don't you show the camera, Nate? Get all up in there.
Can you seriously see that right now?
Since me and Nate started the band, it was during the pandemic, so we just wanted to learn how to produce ourselves because you couldn't go into studios and you couldn't do anything. So we were just like, let's just download all what we need to write. So this album from our last EP was all self-produced, self-mixed, and we just wanted to elevate our production.
That's right.
This album, when Jesse joined the band, it really elevated the production because we all have crazy ideas and techniques that we wanted to lay out, and I think it shows in the album.
Yeah, and we had all been kind of like self-producing ourselves since we were like in high school.
Yeah.
So like I think just like collectively, all of us working together, we were able to make the album sound as good as it does.
I like that we all play different instruments. So sometimes like Owen writes a lot of the drum parts, and like I'll come in and like finesse them and stuff. And sometimes I play some of the guitar parts on the record. It's kind of cool that we're like
Thanks, man.
multi-instrumentalists. So like we can, like you said, instead of
Thanks,
like
dude.
driving each
Yeah.
other crazy and having to like sit there and do drums for like 10 hours, we can kind of mix it up and like get a fresh take on it.
So Nate finished his tattoo. He is all wrapped up. And I don't normally do this on this show, but I'm now going to get tattooed because Nate and I decided we're both going to get seriously tattooed on us. So that's what we're seriously doing. So I'm going to get my stencil on in a moment.
We've been self-producing since we started the project.
Mhm.
Our EP, we recorded everything ourselves, but we took it to Dan Hosch for mixing. But this album, we wanted to really push ourselves with production. So
Yeah.
we've been writing these songs over the last little year. Little year? That was weird.
Pretty little.
Over the last year, and we felt like just to put these songs in a collection, and that's the album.
No one's gonna love your own music as much as you, so we felt like we should take a swing at just producing the whole thing. And
Exactly.
we got it mastered professionally by Christian Montano,
Shout out.
and Shelby's getting her stencil on. How do you feel, Shelby?
I have to take off my bracelet that I never take off, so I'm already really
Shit. How the interviewer
So
becomes
scared.
the interviewee.
my first tattoo.
It is? I've done the artwork for all of the singles and the EP and the album, except for Headspin.
Except for Headspin.
Yeah, that was a contest. For the Pretty Little Drop Dead Gorgeous album cover, it was actually a photo that our buddy Kevin shot from, what show was that? That was at Mono Whales, right?
That was the Monowell, yeah, Maxwell's, yeah.
Yeah, he came and took some photos at Maxwell's when we were opening for Mono Whales. And I saw this one photo that he took, and I was like, that's going to be some sort of single art or the album cover, and it ended up being the album cover. Yeah.
Side note: Owen's from we're from Kitchener, but Owen's from England. And when he goes to England,
He's from Brighton.
He's from Brighton. Isn't that in England?
Brighton, England.
I don't know.
So we're trying
I'm
to
from
push him
Kitchener.
to
I
just
don't
use
know
his
anything.
accent because we think it'll elevate our band.
Yeah. Speak more with
We
an
did-
accent.
We just have to tour in England, then you'll hear it.
When he talks to his cousins, it slips out, isn't it?
Oh my
In
god.
it.
I always know when he's on the phone with his parents because I'll just hear like, "Hello, mom."
Why don't you guys share what your favorite song on the album is?
Probably Everything's Fine. I'm a little biased because I have a tattoo, and when we wrote Everything's Fine, that was right after Social Cues. And Social Cues felt like a big pivot from I'm Pretty Okay, being like the next song to come after that EP. It felt like a big move for us. And then once Everything's Fine came out and we started writing that, I was like, this is just like the whole vibe of what the next album's going to be. And that song really kind of defined the kind of musical space that I wanted to explore for the album. So Everything's Fine is lyrically, it's my favorite song. And sonically, I think it's really good. And I like that one.
Torn between Pretty Little, Drop Dead Gorgeous, and Waste My 20s. I think when we were writing Pretty Little, Drop Dead Gorgeous, I was very inspired by the main, and we went to go see them in Toronto as well, and we're just like, I'm so in this kind of genre right now, and I just love the feel of that song, and it just has a good vibe. But I love the heaviness in Waste My 20s because we haven't really tapped into that before. We're a pop alternative band, but we were also very inspired by metal bands. So I love Bring Me the Horizon, and recently have discovered a lot more Architects. So
Yeah,
it's cool to embrace a little bit of that.
Yeah, like we all grew up like listening to heavier shit. Like I have Linkin Park tattoos.
Waste My 20s is my favorite because I'm like pushing 60.
I remember when we were writing that song, it was like a completely different vibe.
Yeah.
And it was like almost like kind of like a hip hop, kind of like rock track. Yeah. And then I wrote a chorus and then I went to record it and I hated it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I retracked the chorus for Waste My 20s and I sent it to you, Jesse. And I was like, what do you think of this? It's probably
And
trash.
I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
That song is like very meaningful. I feel like the lyrics are very relatable to a lot of people. You know, like the 20s doesn't have to be like the end all be all to what you do. I feel like a lot of people are figuring their stuff out in their 20s. But yeah, other than that, I just like the heaviness of it, how different it is sonically, and the lyrics are very personal. So
that song has two of my favorite lyrics on the album.
the second verse.
The second verse, yeah. Yeah. My baseline emotion is this narcissistic notion. Life just did me wrong, that it wasn't my fault at all.
There. Yes.
And then the first line is I haven't been pretty okay since last year.
Which is a nod.
Because I'm Pretty Okay came out last year. I love the idea of like connecting songs and
Me
like
too.
albums and like making like little callbacks. Like there's also is it in Headspin? It's like you can turn a cheap wine into a good time.
Yeah, which is a nod at Play Pretend.
Which is from Play Pretend.
Yeah.
I love doing that stuff. 2 hours later.
Why do you like Checkers so much?
Yeah, what is the lore behind the Living Room for Small association with checkerboard print?
I was designing our website and there was a lot of like stock material on Wix that is checkerboard themed. So I made our whole website checkerboard and it had nothing to do with anything that we had out. And I was like, we should just make this our whole vibe.
Now we give out bucket hats every show. Now when people come to shows, when they wear the hats, we know that they're fans of the band.
The 1975 is obviously a big one for my guitar playing. Band Camino, they're a huge influence, I think, for all of us. They really blend the pop with the rock and like the 80s kind of vibe, which I love.
But they're heavy too.
And they're also heavy. Me and Nate really bonded over Nothing But Thieves.
I love those guys.
And now we've got Jesse hooked on them.
I would like, if I could choose a band to tour with right now, I'd be them.
Hey, yo, Connor Mason. Please, please take us on tour.
He's your biggest fan.
Yeah. I met him once.
Did you?
Yeah, I was outside of the mod club and I was in his way, and he said, "Excuse me, mate. I'm also a huge fan of Linkin Park. I think Chester Bennington is one of like the best vocalists ever."
My biggest influence when I was a kid was Green Day. Like that's what really got me into drumming was like Trey Cool. I liked that he was like super off the charts. Other than like Blink-182, he was like the one dude that it's like that stuck out as a drummer. It was also the first tour I seen, which was American Idiot when I was 10. So that was really inspiring to me. That made me want to play drums when I was a kid. So yeah, them.
Trey
That's-
Cool.
It's very cool.
Cool.
Trey Cool. If you see this, take me on tour.
So video actually is just a plea for someone to take Living Room for Small on tour.
Yeah.
I was very like Led Zeppelin inspired and Pink Floyd. My granddad really got me into music, where I love Pink Floyd. Really went into Oasis in high school. But yeah, a lot of classic like English rock bands. Just pivoted completely when I think it's when I heard the 1975.
Yeah.
It just changed my whole perspective on music. But I still love all those records.
So what is your favorite wrong name for your band? And the second part is you refer to your fans as roomies.
Oh, yeah.
Does this speak to the housing crisis?
Yes.
Yes, I like small room for living.
I've been called the Smalls before.
Living room for smalls.
The Smalls is pretty sick though. I feel like we should do that instead. I think it's like cute and cool when like a fan base has a name, or like water parks is like the Parksies and stuff. Living room for small is a kind of weird one where it's like, what do we call you?
So why don't you guys talk about some of the favorite shows that you've played or shows that you're really excited for?
Revelry Music Festival last year was definitely a huge thing, where we got to play with some of our favorite bands and acts like Arkells, Lights. Being a part of that was such a cool experience. We have a couple shows coming up too. We have Gustapalooza Festival. Never mind.
Oh my god, how are you gonna? Oh my god, look, we're matching.
That's seriously cool.
Whoa! The album release, I think,
That was a good one.
because that was a pretty. It was like my dreams came true, because like I've seen so many of my favorite bands play at Maxwell's, and just the idea that we could headline a show there and make the main stage and it not be empty.
I think it was like over
so
200
cool.
people.
That was such a fun show. And then afterwards, all your fans came up and wanted their vinyl signed.
It was very surreal to have people care about what you do. It's cool.
That was fun.
Yeah, we got to open for Monorails twice, which is super cool.
When we played at the Rivoli with Dury,
Oh yeah,
we opened for Dury, and we've played in Toronto a lot, to not a lot of people.
yeah.
So playing a show in Toronto, opening for Dury, doing like a sold out venue in Toronto was a huge step for us. What's been your favorite Living Room for Small show?
That's such a nice question. Say, when I first discovered Living Room for Small, I thought that you guys were a punk band. I used to frequent Smile Tiger, and I would see your posters, and I would see Nate working as a barista. I thought that Living Room for Small was a punk band. They are not, sadly. However, I did get to see them play at Sneaky D's in Toronto, which is like the closest I will get to them being an emo band, A Girl Can Dream. But that show is really cool, because I've seen some big bands there. And it's always fun to, it's one thing to support a local band at a local show, but to support them outside of the area too is really fun to see new fans discovering their music as well.
It's always fun when we're playing a show outside of our hometown and we see people that we recognize from our hometown shows just like walk in the door. It's like, wow, you actually drove to see this? Cool.
We love playing in Kitchener-Waterloo, and we have a really, really supportive fan base here, which I can't thank enough. But yeah, it's all about getting in front of new faces and them hearing your music for the first time and then connecting with you on some level. We're all about making new friends, new roomies. That's the plug.
New roommates.
Because of the housing crisis. Now that Nate and I have finished our tattoos, I'll insert a little picture here of what they look like because we're both all wrapped up. But they are matching tattoos of my logo, which is seriously pretty cool. Why don't you share what you have on the horizon?
We have some festivals coming up. There's still time for festival season.
Summer's not over.
Yeah, summer's not over. You can find that on our link tree.
Bands in town.
Yeah,
That's where you can find all of our shows. We're working on. We have 2 songs that are like 90 to 95% there. So we're trying to get them done for what, early fall.
Yeah,
that'll be some
new music soon.
New goal, early fall. We have a whole bunch of songs, like ideas coming from everywhere. So we have a lot to work on, and
Almost too much. It's overwhelming.
it's overwhelming how many ideas we have.
And
we forget about them. Yeah.
And in the grand scheme of things, we did just put out an album called Pretty Little Drop Dead Gorgeous. It's not new to us, but it could be new to you. So check it out.
It's only been out for like 3 months, but I feel like it's been out for so much longer.
It is my favorite thing I've ever done.
So like anxious to get out new music because we have so many ideas.
The way the industry is now, it's always the next thing too. So you gotta appeal to that. I wish you could have an album and just let it ride for a whole year.
Yeah.
But you gotta keep people on their toes. So.
If you haven't heard the album, it's called Pretty Little Drop Dead Gorgeous. It's everywhere that you listen to music.
And if you want a copy on vinyl, let us know. We have some.
Nate will run
Come
it
to
to your
show.
house, no matter where you live.
It is a really pretty vinyl as well. I currently have it on my record player, and I love the like marble pink.
Yeah.
It's recycled vinyl, so better for the environment.
Wow, an environmentally friendly band.
Housing
Housing crisis, climate change, what next? I will say, I know you guys sometimes say that you still feel like a small band, but I mean, you're doing really big things. You're like headlining shows at Maxwell's. You played, the July 1st celebration downtown Kitchener. For other, bands in the area that are just starting, what advice would you give them?
Just message people. Just constantly follow up, message people. If you think you're not qualified, you probably are.
Yeah.
Just ask, and you never know who's gonna say yes.
Be nice when you go to shows. Be nice to the crew. Be nice to the bands. Introduce yourself. I'm a very anxious person, so it's hard for me to talk to people at shows. But talking to people and being nice to everyone that you engage with in the industry is going to help you out tremendously. Just being decent people, showing up on time.
Yep.
Engaging with your fans online. Just one comment can go a super long way.
Yeah.
And don't give up, because it gets really hard. Like, we've been doing this for 3 years, which isn't a very long time in the grand scheme of bands. But you can definitely have moments where you feel like, oh my God, this isn't working. And then you get the best show you've ever played in your life.
Yeah.
So just don't give up. It's going to be hard, but it's also going to be a lot of fun. So.
Algorithm sucks. So it's like, don't use that to judge your content or your music. Like, you could have the best song in the world and it's just not getting pushed to the right people because you're not getting the proper reach. So I said to stay off the numbers and just be organic and write music you like.
The biggest thing, I think it's Dave Grohl that says it. There's a song for every single person. So yeah, like, don't look at numbers, just put out what you want and someone will relate to it in some way.
Like what you make. That's rule number 1.
And just remember, everything's fine.
Oh my God. Everything's fine.
Anything else you guys want to talk about?
I don't want to talk about it.
There's some social cues going on that really telling me that we should wrap this up.
10 out of 10.
Would recommend. Okay,
Oh my God, we just finished the sentence. That was wild.
Bad Omen shirt, dude.
That's a bad omen.
You look like you're gonna kick the meanest corner kick I've ever seen.
Did you just
Adam,
say the
whose
exact
shoe-
same thing?
Adam,
That's a bad
whose
omen.
shoes are best?
Oh my God. It's
You
all
like
connected,
lore.
man.
You like Star Wars. We like Marvel.
It's like a big conspiracy theory.
He likes Lord of the Rings. I'm gonna watch it one day on tour, hopefully.
Welcome to Seriously Shows,
Where I seriously shall.
where I seriously shelves get seriously tattooed.